talking to my neighbor last week, and he shows me his electric bill for last month, $297. And then he asked me, when did keeping the lights on become a luxury in this country? And you know what? I honestly didn't have a good answer for him. I think at some point we've all been taught that if you can't afford your bills, well, you're the problem. And you just need to probably be more responsible with your money. But I can honestly say from what I've been seeing lately, things are starting to tell a whole different story. And I don't want to sound pompous or no shit like that, because I grew up poor. So I know what it's like to have to rub two nickels together and try to make 12 cents. But I was fortunate, and I was a hard worker. And I did okay for myself in the end. I think so. But now, fast forward, and I'm watching my daughters, and they're struggling just to afford the same kind of life that I had when I was their age. And I'm also seeing a lot of good, hard working, responsible people struggling in a way that just doesn't make much sense to me. I was at the grocery store last week, and I watched this poor lady in front of me. Her cart got declined 3 times. So she reaches in her cart, right? And she starts putting groceries back. Meat first, and bread and cheese, and just the basic stuff, though. I noticed she didn't have anything fancy in there. Like, there was no lobster, there was no steak, nothing like that. Just the necessities of everyday living. And as she was going through this, man, I couldn't help but think to myself, at what point are people in this country not even going to be able to afford the basic necessities of life? And then my daughter calls me with questions that I wasn't prepared for and never thought I'd have to answer. She wants to know how I managed to buy a house at 28. She doesn't think she's going to ever be able to buy a home. I just remember when I was her age, you could work one job and afford a house. Hell, you could a car payment, a house, vacation, money saved, but I can't tell her that. It's not realistic nowadays. I keep thinking, man, my first house, I think I put down $3-4 grand and got the keys. Work hard, save your money, things will work out for you. That's what I was told. And that was true then. That was true then. But I don't know. Both my daughters have good jobs. They're both college educated, and they work hard, man, doing everything right. Everything that they were taught to do by me. But yet, somehow, man, they can't afford or do the things that I could, making 15, 16 bucks an hour, 25, 27 years ago. Something's broken here, people. And it's not them. I don't know. I'm a watcher. I'm an observer by nature. So I like to watch people and situations and their circumstances. And as I'm watching all these things unfold, you know, the news and social media posts and my daughter struggling, I started to notice something, a pattern that I've seen before. And it's not so much that people are having money problems. They're dealing with something a lot deeper than that. You know, people are actually out here, man, they're hurting over something. Something that was taken from them. You know, when someone dies, right, people go through those stages of grief. That's exactly what this looks like to me. And I'm seeing it everywhere across the board. It's not just in one community. It's everywhere. You know, people are actually out here mourning the life that they thought they were going to have. And that's sad. But as a result of that, you know, I'm constantly seeing people blaming themselves for a situation that's way beyond their control. And then there's this whole industry about budgeting apps and financial advisors and financial advice. And they're constantly telling people that they just need to track their spending better. Horse shit. I saw one comment from a guy somewhere online. I can't remember where. And this cat spent months, man, tracking every penny that he made and every penny he spent. But somehow, man, at the end of the day, the numbers, they weren't clicking. They weren't adding up. And then somewhere along the way, he realized he'd been buying the same stuff, right? He didn't buy anything new. It's just that the same stuff he'd always bought, it costs damn near twice as much now. And I'm sure some of us out there can sympathize with this because it's happened. I know I've gone to the store to buy mustard. When I rub my ribs, I put mustard on them. And I noticed that mustard has went up damn near twice as much as it was. But if you take the time, man, and you look around, I mean, you can see the anger and the frustration everywhere. I mean, you can feel it. It's in social media posts. It's in news. It's in comments people leave on social media posts. People are pissed off at everything and everybody right now, you know. Oh, and then the news. Oh, God. Don't get me started on the news. The news talks about inflation, man, like it's some kind of made up problem. Like it doesn't really apply to us. I hear them say it all the time. You probably have too. It's only interest rates are only up 1 or 2 percentage points. Again, bullshit. I mean, I don't know. I've seen posts where people will compare, like, say, a grocery receipt from 2019 to today. And I can assure you it's a lot more than some fucking 1 or 2 percentage points. It's more like 30, 35% for the exact same products. And then sometimes you get less of that product for a higher price. So instead of getting 12 ounces, you get 10 ounces and you get the inflated price. Make it make sense. People are suffering, man. Our brethren, they're suffering, man. There was a story about some nurses. And they couldn't afford to live in the very communities that they served, man. Stop and let that sink in for a minute. People that we depend on can't afford to live where they work. And then that would explain, too, the gig economy, you know, that it's exploded because people needed side hustles along with their main job just to make ends meet. It's sad, man. But you see it. If you stop and pay attention, I'm seeing guys in their 50s, right? And they're retraining for new careers. We're supposed to be winding down. It's time to go sit down somewhere. Not getting ready for a second career. But I really am starting to believe that there's going to be no retirement in this country. People are going to work until they die. You know, and I'm seeing families, man, thinking about downsizing their homes. And people are up and social media all hours of the night, man, running through every possible scenario, trying to figure out their life and how they can make it work, you know, maybe change careers or move somewhere cheap or even get a second job. And that's sad, man, in a country as rich as the United States. I mean, our GDP goes up every year. That means we've made more money than the prior year. Where's all that money going? It's certainly not trickling down to the common Joe. Where's it going? I don't know. I see way too many good people, man, compromising, making compromises instead of making plans. And the stats on men's mental health, they seem to get worse every single year, man. Something we don't talk about. That would explain drug abuse. That's probably why drug abuse has went up so much. People are stressed to the max and they don't see a way out. So they self-medicate or, I don't know, try to find a way out. Wow. You got cats out here, man. I heard a dude in the barbershop the other day, well, actually last Thursday, talking about he felt like he was failing his family because he couldn't provide for them like he felt he should, you know? Another cat was talking about he's not sleeping regularly like he should because he doesn't know when the next crisis is going to hit. And if another crisis hits, he wouldn't be able to afford it. Doesn't know what he's going to do. How do you go through your day, every day, all day, with that kind of stuff on your mind, with that kind of stress on your mind and heart? It's got to have an effect, man, not only on your psyche and your spirit, but on your body physically. And these people are doing everything right, you know? They're working hard, they're being responsible, they're not blowing their money on dumb shit. Yeah, it's somehow, man, they're still struggling to get the shit that their parents used to take for granted. I don't know. Let me ask you something. What do you do when you're following all the old rules, right? But you're getting none of the old results? I don't think it's a personal failure, though. I don't think all these people are the problem. I think it's a systemic change, you know. And since I really started paying more attention to social media, because that actually is, it used to be music. Music was the pulse of what was going on. That's how you would know what was going on in society. But now it's social media. If you really pay attention to social media and you're able to decipher the bullshit from the real shit, you can really get a good feel for what's going on out there. I don't know. This isn't about, though, individual failures anymore. But because it's happening to way too many people. If it was one or two people, maybe. This is a blanket coverage. This is a systemic problem. I'll give you an example. Say we've all been playing basketball all our lives, right? And suddenly they decide to move the hoop up 10 feet. And nobody bothers to mention that to us, though. So you see, people aren't getting worse at the game. The game itself got changed, and the people were never notified. People are still doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, what we've always done. The rules to that game just got changed. Because most people that I see struggling, man, they're not lazy at all. Or irresponsible. They're just good, hardworking people out here. But what they don't realize is they're playing a new game by old rules. You know, and we all know old keys don't open new locks. And trust me, I understand. Even now, when I see an electric bill, I can still remember what that stress feels like. Wondering, is this going to be the month? You know, or even to this day, when I see grocery prices, I think about all the people in the grocery stores like that lady who are doing the exact same thing or the same thing that I used to do. I would actually stand in line. This was in the 90s, early 90s. I would stand in line. And before I would put anything in that cart, man, I would do the mental math to make sure that I was where I was supposed to be. And that's stressful, whether you believe it or not. That's very fucking stressful, you know? And I know for sure that the people that are struggling, out here struggling, they're working just as hard as I did, or harder, and being just as responsible. It's just that the game got changed. And that very ladder that I was fortunate enough to be able to climb up to get out of my situation into a much better situation, at some point, it got pulled up or it got destroyed. I don't know which one happened, but what ends up happening is we get a whole generation, right behind us, doing everything that they were told to do. And mind you, they were told to do these things by us. I was taught by my father and mother. I taught my daughters. But it isn't enough anymore. The game got changed. So this isn't a character problem, people, or a personal responsibility problem. This, make no mistake about it, it is a system problem. And real strength to me, it isn't telling people, oh, you need to work harder. Work harder when the game is rigged. You can't win. It's like playing those damn games at the state fair. You can play all you want, you're not going to win. Real strength to me is admitting when the system has failed so many good people. And it has. So I just want to say to everybody who's watching this, who might be living through this right now, you know, you're not broken and you're not failing at life. You're simply dealing with something bigger than any one person can solve alone. So here's what I want you to do. And I'm not telling you, but it would be nice. Stop blaming yourself for a game that was already rigged before you ever started playing. And stop carrying all that shame that it doesn't belong to you. And stop suffering in silence. You know, the moment that you realize this, that this isn't about you. It's about what's been done to all of us. Everything changes. You're so much stronger than they want you to believe. And you're not alone. Always remember this. There is strength in numbers. But do you remember my neighbor's electric bill, $297. Well, he's going to pay it. And we're all going to work together to try to figure out how to make this whole thing work for us. But what we won't do anymore, we won't blame ourselves for a situation that we didn't create. And again, if you're going through this right now, share your story in the comments below. Or if you just want to talk or vent or whatever, there's the comments. Help yourself. Remember, we only have one, and your voice matters. Take care of yourself and each other, especially now. And also, you're a lot stronger than you know. Un's words of wisdom.